Devil's Night Diary calls. Do you dare to open the pages of the unknown? The Pit and the Pendulum, inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. I woke up, my eyelids heavy, but when I tried to open them, I saw nothing, just darkness. Thick, all-encompassing darkness. I rubbed my eyes, hoping for even a sliver of light, but no matter how much I blinked, it stayed the same. My breath quickened, panic bubbling up from deep inside me. Where was I? What had happened? I pushed myself to sit, but something cold and unforgiving beneath me stopped me. My hands touched stone, rough, damp stone. It felt like an old, forgotten tomb. I blinked harder, trying to focus, but nothing changed. My mind scrambled to grasp what was happening, but nothing fit together. Slowly, I placed one hand forward, dragging my fingers across the cold floor. The surface was jagged, like ancient rocks worn smooth by time. I wasn't in a crypt or a grave, no. The space felt too deliberate, too controlled. I continued crawling forward, following the walls, hoping for a sign, anything to break the silence. After a few minutes, I felt something soft, a piece of cloth. It was my shirt, torn. I dropped it on the floor beside me, marking my path. If I could keep track of where I'd been, maybe I'd find an exit. I counted every hand movement, each stretch forward, as though it might keep my sanity intact. 20, 30, 40. But as the minutes turned into what felt like hours, I realized something. The cloth was gone. I couldn't remember if I'd passed it or not. Anxiety gnawed at my mind as I counted 100 movements. It was still nowhere to be found. I was trapped. My mind, clouded by dread, couldn't connect the dots. I tried to recall how I got here. Toledo, Spain, a courtroom full of stern faces and questions. But they were impossible to remember clearly, like a forgotten nightmare. They hadn't hit me or burned me, but the questions, relentless, exhausting, had felt like a kind of torture. I had no crime to confess, no reason for my punishment. Suddenly, a faint sound broke the silence. A door creaking open, a soft light shining down from above. I squinted, my heart leaping. It wasn't much, but it was something. The door slammed shut again, plunging me back into darkness. I was alone. My mind reeled as I lay there, half sleeping, half awake, too tired to think clearly. Then a sensation stirred me. Something shifted in the room, something physical. A loaf of bread, cool water, someone had come in, a jailer. But what kind of prison had I been thrown into? The walls were cold stone, yes, but there was a pit in the center of the room, a deep, hollow void that seemed to breathe with a strange, damp air. I edged closer to it, my heart pounding. Was it just a hole in the ground? Or something more sinister, a trap? As I leaned over, I heard the scuttling of something, tiny, sharp sounds that echoed around the cell. Rats. My stomach turned, and a low groan escaped my lips. The rodents were crawling out of the pit, their beady eyes glistening like dark jewels. I could feel their presence around me, closing in. But then it came. A soft, rhythmic whooshing, like a breeze at first, but growing steadily louder. I turned my head slowly, my breath catching in my throat. Above me, hanging from the ceiling, was a pendulum, sharp, cold, metal. Its blade was slowly swinging back and forth, cutting through the air. I stared at it, transfixed, as the blade began to drop lower. It was a clock, but not one of time. No, this clock was a herald of my demise. The sharp, glittering blade would fall on me soon, slowly, agonizingly. Every second felt like a lifetime as it lowered. I tried to scream, but the rats were here, crawling over my skin. The sound of their claws on stone, the cold, sharp pressure of their teeth. It was unbearable. I shut my eyes tight, trying to block it out, but the blade of the pendulum swung closer and closer. The rats had begun to gnaw on the ropes that bound me, sharp little teeth working at the coarse fibers. Their hot breath stung my skin, and I fought the urge to scream. But this was my chance, my only chance. If the rats freed me, I could survive. If I could avoid the blade, I might escape. As the pendulum neared, I held my breath, my body trembling, waiting for that one final swing that would end it all. Then, a miracle. The rats, frightened by the cold blade of the pendulum, scattered. The rope snapped free. I threw myself from the wooden table, hands trembling, chest heaving. I hit the floor with a thud, and the pendulum swung by me once more, just inches away. But I wasn't free. The walls, metal, thick and heavy, began to heat up. I could feel the heat radiating from them, the smell of burning iron filling the air. It was getting too hot to breathe, too hot to stand. My body was already coated in sweat as I stumbled toward the pit, my only hope. The cold air from the depths called to me, beckoning me to jump. I closed my eyes, ready to fall. Suddenly, voices shouted from above. The sound of metal clanging, the sharp reports of gunfire. The walls, moving inward, halted. Someone had broken in. A hand grabbed mine, pulling me back from the edge of the pit. I turned, gasping, and saw the face of a soldier, French from the uniform. The French had taken Toledo. They had freed me. But as I stumbled out, shaking, I heard the sounds of distant shouts and gunfire. The city was free, but not without a cost. What was real and what was a trap? I would never know, but I had survived, for now. Hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more mysteries await. Stay curious, but safe.